Ghanatube Sunye and some air costo ewo on my name. Aha, and I was ever canning now, but for snowy my science of Atanasi. There is some air co ever edge ever, and send a maternal city. Now we will see a quack J and send no edge a bar, I was for a bar. Now, Matwaswamo.
The Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama has announced that the central bank is set to begin regulating cryptocurrencies in Ghana starting this September. He made the disclosure at the African Leaders and Partners Forum in Washington, D.C. Georgia Affe reports.
The Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama noted that this has been influenced by some development in the industry and also to ensure that the regulator actively captures happenings in that sector.
I was surprised to know that there are Ghanaian business people who are able to pay for their imports. They don't go through any bank. All that they do is to go through what? Crypto. And a gentleman walked to me and showed me the data. He pays about $5 million a week to his suppliers. He's into frozen chicken imports. And he doesn't go through any bank. So when I saw that data, I became alarmed. Because what it means is that his $5 million a week is not going to our balance of payments. It's not going to our records. And yet it is happening. So you can understand the scale.
The governor announced that to aid the effective regulations of these crypto platforms, they have set up a special unit on digital assets at the Bank of Ghana.
At the central bank, we are setting up a special unit on digital assets. We are setting up these to be able to regulate the crypto forms. As it is now, there's no visibility. And yet, this is technology we cannot prevent. And so, hopefully by September, we hope to have what they call the VASP law, the Virtual Asset Providers Act, or law. We intend to pass that in place so we can license vast platforms and the likes, and we are working with SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, to be able to manage these. We don't want to stifle innovation, but we want to be sure that these are done in an orderly and in a safe way.
Speaking on other issues at the African Leaders and Partners Forum organized by the EDII Group at the Ghana Embassy in Washington, D.C., USA, the governor noted that pursuing macroeconomic stability should be seen as one of the surest ways to attract the needed capital to Ghana and other African countries.
The U.S. should support Africa's ability to trade competitively by investing in both infrastructure and trade finance. Through institutions like the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation and Exim Bank, the U.S. can partner with African countries to strengthen ports, roads, and energy systems, while also helping scale trade finance hubs to support SMEs and emerging exporters. Let us shape a future where Africa and the U.S. are not just trading partners, but co-creators of prosperity, where American innovation meets African ingenuity, where partnership is not extractive, but transformational. If Cosmos could help launch Ghana's oil era, and niche cocoa could move from Accra to Wisconsin, imagine what the next chapter of US-Africa trade could look like with the right policies in place.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, noted that the central bank is committed to putting in place the necessary regulations and structures to assure foreign investors that their capital are safe when they invest in Ghana.
Well, joining me on Zoom is Henry Kobler, lead for Eyes of Africa, to discuss this. Good afternoon to you, Henry. Just wondering what the motivation of the Bank of Ghana is this time to sort of want to regulate cryptocurrency beginning in September.
Thank you very much, Daryl. So, Daryl, I'm surprised the governor is surprised looking at that data. That data has long been in public known. We've spoken about this almost about 4 years road. I mean, almost every time we're talking about crypto on this show. And so as much as the governor really would want to be pushing this has already been in the public space. But again, it's not much of a surprise because he's relatively jumping back into the governance space now, and he's sort of having more understanding of the data that sort of sits outside. I mean, any other governor at this level and in this time should really be looking at cryptocurrency. It's been a point where we've mentioned that quite a lot of transactions are going off the books but are happening there. Personally, I've been in this space for close to almost about 9 years, and I can tell you for a fact that, I mean, I can understand the Bank of Ghana's regulatory objectives that would probably want to ensure integrity and stability in the financial sector. They would want to protect consumer and investors. They would want to go against financial crimes or first-time innovations and integrations. I mean, quite a lot of objectives from their end. I must say that, again, for us in the markets, we're also looking at the easiest way to go through whilst not going through the stiff procedures, which is actually sitting in the banking sector. Personally, I'd always mention that whenever I have to be in the US, I'm always using crypto because it's so difficult getting USD whenever I have to travel out of the country. And so the easiest point is to buy, cryptocurrency with mobile money. And that has been happening for almost about 3 years, 4 years down the line. And so if there's some level of regulations and an act to sort of guide us, I think it's in the right direction. We're not going to be the first. The US has already come into it. They've signed an executive order to be pushing this. And so I think that we're sort of looking too late to this, but there could be some beneficial pointers to it.
Well, what kind of regulation or guidelines do you think that the central bank will adopt? Global standards or a unique local approach?
I think that they should be looking at a unique local approach. The reason being that, I mean, cryptocurrency is sort of global, but we have our own challenges, and our challenges are the ones that are driving us to be getting into crypto. I mean, people have been looking at the local challenges to be using, to be getting into the banking sectors and all of that. As cities always depreciating, people have been using cryptocurrency for investment. And so if you're just going to just regulate, just trade without having to look at the investment side, you're going to lose, because quite a lot of people are now keeping a lot of assets into crypto for investments locally, because that's sort of like a store of value for them rather than just trading. So a lot of people do not spend a lot of time to say they want to trade crypto. They spend a lot of time to say, I want to keep my money in USD or a stable coin down in crypto. Again, we have to sort of understand the terrain which we are in. The US can afford to say, want to just be in that space, have our securities in there, only because they are looking out for a lot of intelligence. But for us here, I don't think that a lot of intelligence really is going to be the focal point. We're looking at how to get people to be in that space. People are looking at using the crypto space to sort of pushing some level of investment and enrich themselves, sort of. So there are quite a number of factors that we sort of have to look at locally, and how we're going to fine tune the regulations to sort of meet our own standards. I think that would really be of help to us, than rather just adopting anything that comes and then just running with it.
How do you think that this move by the central bank, if they are able to begin in September, how will it impact the financial system and the economy?
I think that there have to be a bit of piloting projects on this, first of all, because I've seen the ECD running around. I've not seen how best they've been able to throw it out. I've seen it coming off in a while. I think the September will probably be a rush. I can understand that the government is also looking at investing into fintechs, and so I'm thinking that if we could just push in a bit of space, put in piloting projects, understand the system, understand those who are in the trade, open up the conversations, have a lot of dialogue, I think that would be better off than rather just having a team that would just sit at Bank of Ghana and would put together some level of policies and procedures that anybody could relatively get in. I mean, we've been doing this without policies and procedures from banking. And so if we have to get in, there has to be a lot of consultations. There have been people that have been building projects. There have been people that have been building these digital assets. There have been people that have been trading these digital assets for years. And I'm thinking that the conversation has to now be opened up. There has to be a lot of consultations. There has to be that mindset, even training in that sense, to get people to be more trained in that direction, to know how we can proceed and how we can get it, rather than to rush and say, because there's some level of data that is showing that there's been a lot of people jumping onto crypto, we'll also just form a team, get some policies, throw it to parliament to get approvals and run with it. I think it wouldn't be the approach we should be looking at. A lot of consultation, training, and then that could get us there.
All right, Henry Kobler, lead Eyes of Africa, thank you so much for your perspective.
ya kwaje ensem no aba obetimi eja comment comment section e dey on mejebre na makenkan ni na e dey awon mo amodofo Snowy and abetina say e dey ensem no e bre no Ghanatube so sisi ade makram